Hey, what's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video we're going to be looking at the key differences between the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. So we've got the bigger devices from Samsung here, and hopefully this comparison will help you decide which one to go for. Now, starting off with the build and design, we've got a very similar build and design here. There's a metal frame with curved symmetrical glass panels on the front and back. Now, this is a very unique design with all of those curves and actually makes the larger devices a little bit easier to hold. Both devices are also IP68 water and dust resistant, so getting a bit of a splash on them is not going to be a problem. The combination of metal and glass also make these devices look and feel very premium. But the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus is slightly smaller compared to the Note 8, both in terms of the height and width, although it's the same thickness. The S9 Plus also has more curved edges, so this actually makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold compared to the squared edges of the Note 8. Now, there's not too much of a difference in terms of the weight, and the S9 Plus is slightly smaller because it has a slightly smaller display, 6.2 inches versus 6.3 inches on the Note 8. Now, both these displays are what Samsung is calling infinity displays, and that's because they have minimal bezels, although the S9 Plus actually has slightly smaller bezels compared to the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Both of these have an 18.5:9 aspect ratio with Quad HD resolution, and they are both Super AMOLED displays, which means these are some of the best in the market right now with deep blacks and very vibrant colors. Now, with the S9 Plus, you can use it more in horizontal mode, so even the menu as well as the home screen will switch to horizontal mode, and that is because Samsung is saying more people are using their devices in landscape to consume content. This is something that's not currently available on the Note 8. Whether or not it's going to be available later on, I'm not too sure. Now, looking at the internals, the Note 8 comes with either the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 processor or Samsung's Exynos 8895. This will vary depending on your region, and these are pretty powerful processors, but they are last year's processors. The Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus now comes with either the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor or Samsung's Exynos 9810. So you are going to be getting improvements here. We know that the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 is 30% more faster in terms of the graphics performance and also 30% more efficient. Now, we can obviously do some more detailed side-by-side speed test Super Saf style when we've got the retail version of the S9 Plus in hand, but generally speaking, the S9 Plus with the new internals is going to be the faster device. Now, both devices actually come with 6GB of RAM, so that's plenty, and they should be great for multitasking. I've been using the Note 8 for quite some time and it's been pretty good for multitasking. And for storage, the Note 8 comes with a base storage of 64GB. The S9 Plus actually comes with a base storage of 128GB, so there's another improvement here. Now, the good thing is you can expand the storage on both of these with the micro SD card slot, so you're not going to be stuck with the storage that you get with the device. Now, let's move on to the cameras. This is where things get really interesting. With the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, you've got a dual 12 megapixel camera setup. The primary is a wide angle camera with an f1.7 aperture, and then we've got a telephoto camera with an f2.4 aperture, and that's going to give you optical zoom. I've been using the Note 8's camera for quite some time now, and it's a very good camera overall, definitely one of the best of last year. But we have an improvement here on the S9 Plus. We've still got a dual camera setup with one telephoto which has an f2.4 aperture, but for the primary wide angle camera, things get very interesting. The S9 Plus has a dual aperture camera. There's f1.5, which is the widest aperture on any smartphone right now, and it's going to allow 28% more light compared to the S8's last year. And then you've also got f2.4, and this is actually a mechanical change. You can actually see this change if you look up close, and it's absolutely insane that we've got this on a smartphone right now. And the way this is going to work is that if it notices that you're in anything above 100 lux of light, then it's going to switch to the f2.4 aperture, and that's to get more things in focus and get a more pleasing shot in good light. Now, in my initial testing of this, it looks very promising. I'll obviously be doing a Super Saf style camera comparison between these two. If you want to see that first, then make sure you have subscribed and switch on notifications. Now, because of the secondary camera on both devices, we do have live focus, which is a portrait mode. This is going to blur the background, and the good thing is you can edit the blur after the fact on both devices, and it's also going to take two shots, one wide angle as well as one telephoto, so you've always got that wide angle shot if needed. Now, moving on to video, both devices can film at 4K, but we've got 30 frames a second on the Note 8. On the S9 Plus, we've got up to 60 frames a second. Not only that, we've also got super slow-mo, so this is 720p up to 960 frames a second. Now, this is just a short burst like we had on the Sony devices last year, But the problem with the Sony devices last year was that you'd have to press it at the exact time when you wanted that slow motion, and more often than not, you just end up missing that shot. The good thing with the super slow-mo on the S9 Plus is that you've got automatic motion detection. So this is going to allow you to put a square around where it needs to look for motion. You can start recording, and whenever it does detect motion in that square, that's when it's going to start recording, and you can get some really impressive results. It's also going to then add music to your slow motion automatically. It's going to allow you to change those slow motions to GIFs, and you can also use those slow motions as live wallpapers. Now for the front facing camera, we've got 8 megapixels on both with an f1.7 aperture as well as autofocus. Now although we've got very similar or the same hardware, we've got some improvements in terms of the software, and with the S9 Plus, you also have selfie focus. This is basically a portrait mode from the front facing camera. It's something that we've seen on the iPhone 10 as well as the Google Pixel 2. In my brief testing, it did seem to perform quite well. Now we do have selective focus from the front facing camera on the Note 8, but in my experience, it hasn't worked too well. It'll be interesting to see how much the selfie focus has improved on this on the S9 Plus. Now in terms of software, both of these are running Android. My Note 8 is still on Android version 7.1.1. The Oreo update has not yet come. It's supposed to be coming soon, but with the S9 Plus, it is going to come with Android Oreo out of the box, so you are going to get that advantage there, and both of these have Samsung's Experience Skin on top. The S9 Plus being the new device as well, I'd expect it to get updates quicker compared to the Note 8 going forward. And when it comes to audio, the good news is both of these have a 3.5mm headphone jack. As you guys know, this is something that we're seeing much less of these days, so it's great that Samsung have still included this. And with the Note 8, you've got a single bottom firing speaker. This is okay, but it can be covered easily, and it's not great compared to stereo speakers, which the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus now has. Now these speakers are tuned by AKG. We've got one in the earpiece and one bottom firing, and they're 1.4 times louder compared to the S8 last year. And they also incorporate Dolby Atmos. So you're going to be getting a much more immersive experience on the S9 Plus, and you can switch the Dolby Atmos on when you like. It's a toggle in the notifications. Now looking at the additional features, first things first, fingerprint scanner. On the Note 8, as you guys know, it's not in an ideal position. It's right up there near the cameras, and you do have to reach for it, which is quite difficult on the larger device. With the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, it's below the cameras, in the middle, and it's much more accessible, and I'm glad that Samsung have made this change. Yes, we don't have a fingerprint scanner in the display as yet, and that might come for the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, but having it in a much more accessible position at the back is definitely a plus. Both devices also have an iris scanner as well as facial recognition, but with the S9 Plus, you have Intelligent Scan, and that's basically a combination of using the iris scanner as well as facial recognition. This is going to make things more secure, and it's nice to have this in addition to everything else that we have. The Samsung Galaxy Note 8 does, however, have something that not many of the devices have, and that is the S Pen. This has mixed opinions. Some people like it, some people don't. I personally do find it quite useful. It's especially useful if you're somebody who signs documents on the go and things, and there's lots of other features that it does include as well. I've covered those in my Samsung Galaxy Note 8 review, which you can check out in the cards. Now the S9 Plus does come with a new feature which is not available on the Note 8, and that is AR emoji. Think of this as Samsung's answer to Apple's Animoji. Now what this actually does is it scans your face and creates a character based on your appearance. I did test this out. It didn't do a great job initially. I guess I have to make some more tweaks because of my beard. But it basically looks at 100 features on your face and tries to give the AR emoji realistic expressions. And then you can use these in things like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. Now, personally speaking, I wasn't a huge fan of Animoji on the iPhone 10, and I can't really see myself using AR emoji too much on the S9 Plus, but it might be something that you're into. Now let's move on to Bixby. So Bixby is Samsung's AI assistant, which is present on both the Note 8 as well as the S9 Plus, but we've got some improvements on the S9 Plus, especially in terms of vision. We've got Live Translate within Bixby Vision, and this is going to allow you to point your camera at, say, a menu or something and translate that for you live there and then. There's also other improvements. You're going to be able to point your camera at food, and it's going to give you information about that food, such as how many calories it has. Whether or not these Bixby updates are going to come onto the Note 8, this is still a bit of a question mark. They may or may not. Now looking at the batteries, the S9 Plus actually has a slightly larger battery compared to the Note 8. We've got 3300 mAh on the Note 8, 3500 on on the S9 Plus. Now the Note 8, I have been using that for the past few months and it's got okay battery life. I wouldn't say it's great. With the S9 Plus, because of the slightly bigger battery as well as the newer processors, I'd expect it to be more efficient and you should be getting better battery life from the S9 Plus. The great thing is that both devices do support fast charging as well as fast wireless charging, so this is great whenever you need a quick top up. Now finally, looking at the pricing, the S9 Plus is actually coming in at the same price that the Note 8 was introduced at last year. This is high compared to the S8 Plus, but we do have the additional features this year. And with the Note 8, because it has been out for a few months now, you can expect to pay a little bit less compared to when it was released. Now pricing will obviously vary from place to place, and after the S9 Plus is available, then I would expect the Note 8 to drop even further. Now in terms of availability, the Note 8 is available to buy right now. With the S9 Plus, you can pre-order it right now, and it is going to be available from the 16th of March. However, if you do pre-order early, then you should be getting the device earlier. So there we have it, guys, the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus versus the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Some interesting devices and some interesting improvements here on the S9 Plus too. Obviously the S9 Plus, being the new device, has the new features such as the dual aperture as well as the new processors. But with the Note 8 we have the S Pen, and because it is an older device, it is going to be dropping in price. So if you are on a budget, then the Note 8 might be the option to go for. As I've said before, it was definitely one of the best devices of 2017 and it still holds up right now. That's what I think anyway. What do you guys think? And what do you guys think of the S9 Plus? Definitely drop me a comment below and let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and switch on notifications. As soon as the retail version of the S9 Plus is in hand, we'll be doing lots and lots of videos. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.